it up. It's The Record Machine with your host, Jimmy Hall.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the band the Amplifier Heads, singer, multi-instrumentalist, Sal Baglio. Sal, how you doing?
I'm good, James. How are you?
Pretty good, man. It's not a bad day here in North Myrtle Beach. Where are you calling from?
I'm from Boston.
Oh,
yep.
Nice.
And it's pretty warm up here, actually, today. It's crazy. It's kind of really strangely warm.
Cool. Now you near the Sox Stadium?
Well, I grew up not far from there. Now I live in Central Mass, about 40 minutes from Boston.
Yeah, you go to games or no?
No, I haven't been to one in quite a while. I think the last time I went to a game at Fenway, we had a tornado hit Massachusetts on that day. I remember the sky got black, and we had to head on out of there. So, yeah, I haven't been back since then.
Yeah, how long ago was that?
I don't know. Maybe, time is whizzing by. Maybe it was 10 years ago.
Okay, so it was around like when Big Papi was there, and
oh yeah, sure.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, they had to get some good teams during the like 2004 and 2018. I mean, there's some good teams.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a Yankee fan, so you can imagine the disappointment I had in 2004. So.
Yeah. Well, they had to give one to the guys. It had been a while.
They earned it, so good team.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm not much of a
sports fan.
I'm not much of a sports guy where it bothers me that you're a Yankees fan in the least. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There are some guys that, in fact, I'll tell you what. My first band, we had a manager from Boston who was a huge Yankees fan, and I think he used to do it just to aggravate everybody.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, he was from here, Yeah.
So you grew up there? You grew
What's that?
You grew up in Massachusetts? You lived there your whole life?
I did. Yep, I grew up in East Boston, Massachusetts, where I did most of my growing up. So East Boston is it's where Logan Airport is. Mm-hmm. That's about the best way I could describe it. It was when I was growing up, it was predominantly an Italian neighborhood. Mm-hmm. As it would happen. And then, as I grew up and got to travel a little bit, I saw that there were many different ethnic groups in the world, and it was nice to meet and chat and hang with new people.
That's cool.
But yeah, when I first was growing up, it was, literally everyone was Italian. It was just a crazy thing,
A lot of Irish in Boston too, though, right?
Yeah. So what had happened was, in East Boston, I think, way back long before my grandparents immigrated from Italy, East Boston was predominantly a Jewish community. Mm-hmm. And then the Irish immigrants came in, and much of the Jewish community moved to Chelsea, Mass, which is just literally over the bridge. And then when the Italians came in, a lot of the Irish people headed out to South Boston. Mm-hmm. And basically Southie became a big Irish community, and Eastie and the North End of Boston both remained Italian, But then, as I had a couple of aunts that married a couple of Irish guys, and boom, there you go. Now you're in the mix,
That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me about your musical background. When did you first get involved in music?
Well, it's as far back as I can possibly remember. I always loved music. There was records playing in my house and radio. My dad played guitar. My older brother played guitar and bass. Mm-hmm. My grandfather on my mother's side was a musician. He was a drummer, and he was also a song and dance man.
Wow!
And so, and so. It was there was some DNA involved, I think, but I just remember being attracted to the music and to the sound that was coming off of records as young as maybe I don't even know what age I was, but just popped right out and just loved it all. There was a story that my family used to tell that I might have been around 5, and next door to where we lived was the Paddock Club, which was, they had weddings and banquets and stuff there. Mm-hmm. And one day I heard music coming out of there. I do remember this. It was an accordion player and a drummer.
Wow.
And I just walked in and sat down. It was literally next door to where we lived, and just was taken by this music and watching them on the stage. Well, little did I know that my parents flipped out because I was lost, and they called the police, all this stuff, and finally they found me. But that's my attraction to music, man. I just followed it and was in love with it before the Beatles. Mm-hmm. But when that happened, that just tore my head off. So I was very young. I saw them on Ed Sullivan, and then my brother, who was a young teenager, took me to see A Hard Day's Night in July of '64. And I just thought, well, this looks like something I'd like to do. And, and I just sort of kept going with that thought. Of course, you get older, it becomes something else. But basically, that was the thought. I'm going to be a musician, and I never did anything else but doing that. So I've been very, very, very lucky.
Now, you've been in a few bands. Which was your first band? You started a band when you were a teenager, right? In high school?
Yeah. Well, who knows who started those bands? But, I was in a bunch of different bands during high school. A friend of mine came to a show the other night, and he brought a yearbook from our junior high school. So where we lived, junior high was 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, and then you went to high school 10, 11, 12. Anyway, he brought this yearbook to a show to show me, and in the yearbook it said that I was in a band that played, in May of 1971, and it had the set list of what we performed, and I honestly had forgotten completely about this. And my friend's like, do you remember this? I'm like, no. And then I looked at the set list, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that looks familiar. It was like Jumper Jack Flash, Jumper Jack Flash, House of the Rising Sun, I forget what other tunes there were, at the time. And so, yeah, God knows how terrible those bands must have been, but that's what you do. You jump right in. You start a band and join in with your friends. I mean, when I was a kid, it seemed like, especially right after the Beatles, it seemed like every cellar in East Boston had a band practicing in there. My brother was, like I said, he was a teenager, so he was in a band. So in like 1965, he was in a band. They made a local single, and that was like big stuff back then. It's different than now. You go to your basement, you record a song, and then you put it out on the internet. This was big stuff in '65. He had a band called The Strangers, and so yeah, it appeared that just that's what everybody did. That's what it felt like to me. And so yeah, in high school we had bands, and I got out of high school. I was 17, and I went on the road with cover bands, of the days, not just 74 like that, 74, 75. And I got an education. I was the youngest guy in those bands, and we were playing kind of the top 40 of the day, and that's I got a pretty good education there. Learning to play different styles of music, and hell, I was a teenager. I was making 200, 225 a week, playing music. But of course, rock was my I favored rock and roll music, and I wanted to figure out how I was going to make the jump from working in cover bands to having my own band, writing my songs and getting out there. So around 75, 76 in Boston, there was something going on in Kenmore Square with a club called the Rathskeller. And I think the Rathskeller and a place called the Club in Cambridge had original bands. And, there were small crowds college crowds showing up at these rooms to hear bands play their own music. So when I was home from the road, I'd go hear these bands. I'd be like, wow, this is pretty cool, man. They're playing their own music. And this scene started to get bigger and bigger. So finally, I said, well, I'm done with this cover stuff. I'm going to start my own band, and we're going to be a rock and roll band. We're going to play these rooms and and I manifested it. It's like I did as a kid. I just said, well, this is what we're going to do and be. There was no roadmap for it,
Mm-hmm.
So that was it. I started a band called the Stompers. I think I was 19, maybe just turning 20 when we played our first gig.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in 77, and the scene in Boston exploded. It was crazy. You had to be an original rock band to get gigs. It was beautiful. I don't know if younger bands today could envision this time.
Doubt it.
Yep.
I honestly doubt that. And you said you were in a band called the Stompers, and you opened up for Jay Giles at one time too, didn't you?
So yeah, we did. We opened up for a lot of people, and so I think that was in 1980. So we've been playing, New England by then for a few years, and we were doing really well, playing colleges. And there was an explosion of clubs to play. Literally, the bands back home could play 6-7 nights a week, easy. And so in 1980, Peter Wolf and the Giles Band invited us on a short tour with them, which they did for a number of bands back at home. They would give bands a shot, and we were lucky enough to be one of those bands.
Very cool.
And so we went from playing, 300, 500 seat rooms to 20,000 seat arenas, which was just, that was like the first time we played a place that big. It was just wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And the crowds were great because, not that we sounded like Giles at all, because we didn't, but we were taking the rock and roll party thing that they were known for, and we were kind of using that thing,
Mm-hmm.
Everybody say yeah, and so we did really good on that tour, and so we come home and some of those shows were in New England too, so things just exploded after that, and we wouldn't even be signed to a deal for another 2 years. So
wow.
I mean that's how it was back then. It was just
That's pretty cool. Now, did you, besides Jay Giles, did you open up for any other famous act, or would Jay Giles be the most memorable one?
no, we played with a lot of people. I mean, I'm probably gonna forget most of them, but I remember we played a lot with Southside Johnny in the late 70s. Like, we would do a lot of college gigs with Southside. We did a bunch of dates with the Ramones. We did a bunch of dates with the Beach Boys. But that came a little bit later in the early 80s. Those were great.
Mm-hmm.
We played once with an unknown band called U2. It was their first trip to the States.
That's cool.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, the list, literally, the list goes on. I mean, in any time that back then Don Law was the big concert promoter in Boston. Anytime he called, so you want to open for whoever, we'd say yeah, sure. And sometimes it worked out, and sometimes it didn't. But that taught you how to take a punch. Us, opening for Jay Giles was one thing. Opening for Roxy Music, it didn't really work out as good. That audience was there for something different.
Gotcha.
Oh, we went on tour with Billy Idol. Every night there was a girl in a white wedding dress giving me the finger. But it teaches you, it makes you tough. You learn how to take a swing. The Beach Boys, that was different. That was just grand, because first of all, I was such a huge fan of the Beach Boys and Brian Wilson's music.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got to play with them. We also opened for Carl Wilson on his solo tour. But it was magical. It was really magical. A lot of times I'll tell people a lot of it was surreal, and it felt like a rock and roll fantasy, something I made up in my head. You know, I can remember playing the Beach Boys in concert record from '64. I can remember playing it at home after school, when I was a kid, and playing air guitar and thinking I'm on stage with the Beach Boys right now. You know how it is when you're
of
and
course.
then I'm touring with them, and Carl Wilson says to me, "Sal, you want to come up and sing Barbara Ann with us on the encore?" And I remember staring at him for what must have been a little while, and he said, "You don't have to if you don't want to." And I said, "No, I really want to. It's just very surreal to me, man, and there I went, he's like, "Yeah, man, after Good Vibes, come on up and after Good Vibes, come on up and sing with us." And it was just a beautiful thing. I mean, that's a memory I will keep with me until I'm long gone from here, man. Just beautiful stuff.
That's pretty awesome. Now, you mentioned the Beatles and the Beach Boys. Would you say that they are big influences for you growing up?
Absolutely. They were two important ones. I mean, there were many others. They may not get spoken about in as high reverence as the Beatles and Beach Boys, but like Ray Davies and the Kinks were very, very important to me. The equal to the Beatles, the Who. American music would be, the Byrds and Bob Dylan. I mean, I first heard most of the stuff when I first heard that music was from my brother's records. He'd say like, "Hey, this is the new Bob Dylan single, Like a Rolling Stone." I might have been eight years old or something, and that's heady stuff to listen to. I remember flipping it over, and the Gates of Eden was on the other side, and it used to scare me. There was something about the way he sang and the chords with the acoustic guitar, and I'm like, wow, man, there are no sins outside the Gates of Eden, and I'm like, ooh, I don't know what this means, but it's making me feel something, It's making me feel. It was like that with Tomorrow Never Knows off of Revolver.
Right.
I used to hear that, and it used to scare the hell out of me, But that was good. I liked to feel stuff, and that's what music did for me. It made me feel different things, joy and jumping around, rocking, and it made me feel frightened, or certain songs sounded to me like, certain Waterloo Sunset by Ray Davies was one of those songs that musically, sonically, and lyrically, it made me feel like I was in England when I heard it.
Nice.
And still to this day, it sounds like a rainy day walking in England to me. And I grew up right around the corner from London Street and Liverpool Street. Because we were in New England and we were in Boston, which was a harbor town, you'd have a lot of English references in that area. So London Street, when I was growing up, had cobblestones still. They hadn't even paved over the cobblestones yet on London Street. And so I used to remember walking down there and thinking, man, this would it must be like this in England. It was just a great time, just a magical time, to grow up. And the radio was really important, And first it was AM. I think AM radio gave us all such an education in music, and it gave me a wide variety of things that I liked, because I could hear, of course, I'd wait to hear the new Kinks tune, the new Beatles tune, new Dave Clark 5, whatever. But also mixed in there would be, Petula Clark, and here's one by Ray Charles. And his Frank Sinatra, and then you're back to the pop and stuff, and I'd be like, I kind of liked it all. I kind of loved it all, and it all gets mixed up in my musical DNA.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, your band, the Amplifier Heads, has a brand new release titled Rectifier, available on Bandcamp now. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So, Rectifier, I think, is the second or third record for Rumbar Records. And we had a single out this summer called Space Cadet, and it did so well that we thought we'd put a full-length record around it and put it out. I've been working on another record, which is set to be released in 2023. But in the middle of all that, it was like, okay, maybe I should finish up something to put out around Space Cadet. And basically that's how Rectifier came to be. And those songs came pretty fast. I recorded them over the summer and fall, and we just put it out. Like most of my records, I play most of the instruments myself on the Amplifier Heads records. Although if there's a real drummer playing, it's usually my friend Kevin Rapillo on drums, and sometimes I'll bring a bass player in, Brad Helene, or to just give it a different flavor than what I'm playing. But essentially, I just went downstairs and said, I'm going to carve out a new record, and here we are with Rectifier. I think it has a certain feel to it and a certain vibe. That's when I know I have a record. I'll look and see if I have a string of songs that work together, that are connected in some way, either sonically, lyrically, or mood or something. And then I said, well, this is a record. This looks like a record to me. And that's what happened with Rectifier. And so far, so good. Lots of people are saying nice things about it.
Oh, I think it's great. I was actually listening to the whole album this morning on my way to my doctor's appointment. The thing I wanted to ask you is, how do you approach songwriting? What is your creative process like?
Well, some of it, there's a big part of it that's kind of a mystery. And that's the part that I like the best. So I'll just get an idea that there's a song hovering. That it's a feeling that I have there's a song. I'll pick up my guitar and it'll just start. And usually if it's gonna be good, it comes out pretty much whole right then and there. The melody, chord changes. Then I have to work a little bit on lyrics. I may have like an idea, like there's a song on the record, the Man Who Invented Rock and Roll. I just had that one line, and I had a sort of a vibe and some chord changes, and that one line, he's the man who invented rock and roll. And so then I had to go back and say, well, who is that? What is this going to be about? And then you go to work, you know, and the work parts is not always as much fun to me as the initial spirited mystery of writing a song, you know, going back and cleaning it up and figuring out what it's about, you know. There's the same with there's a song on there called Underground, which I had lying around for a while with a different title. I think I was using a title, Cherry Punk, and I was writing a song about a girl, woman that we knew back in the rat days. She was a drug addict, but she was a really nice person. She loved rock and roll, and I was trying to write a story about it, but you know, it felt a little pushed, like I was trying too hard. Those are the lyrics that I don't like. If they sound like you're trying too hard, I like them to come out. Let me look at them and see what it means after I throw them all out. You know, I love that. And then I can, you know, I take a word out here, put a word in there, and it becomes something else. And I do that with Underground, and I do that with all my tunes. You know, it's like that's the best description I can give you. Is the mysterious part of it is my favorite part. Just making stuff up. You know, it's not like I sit down and say I'm going to write a song about I wrote a song about. It's called Home Again. It'll be on my next record.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about the fantasy of going back. You know how people say you can't go home again. And other people, there's been a million books and movies about time machines and going back, you know, and sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's some sort of sci-fi thing. But I always think about that. Wouldn't it be great to just pop back into, you know, whatever year, you know, 73 again, you know, and see all my friends and family that's gone. And so I was playing some chords, and the first line was, when the clock strikes backwards and you're spinning around, then you wake up, you're back in your hometown,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody that was gone will be back around when we go home again. I was like, okay, now I have a place. Now I know where I'm going with this thing, you know. And so that was good. But I never sit down and say I'm going to write a song about going back in time. That wouldn't happen.
Right.
It just has to kind of it reveals itself to me. You know, that's the best way I can say it.
That makes sense. This podcast is going to feature 2 tracks from this release, Underground and Space Cadet. What's the story behind those songs?
Well, Underground, like I said previously, we had a different title. And then musically, it was really a simple rockin' tune. And I just came up with a very simple chorus. You know, I know a place where the music is loud and groovy. I know a place where the kids are all right now. Yeah, it's underground. There used to be a club called the Underground, and obviously, you know, Little Steven's Underground Garage and all that. But it's, you know, it's a mythical place in my head and in the song that exists. And Space Cadet has a little bit more of a story to it. I had been introduced to a gentleman named Nordy Cohen in the midst of our pandemic a couple of years ago, from another musician friend of mine, Jamie Rubin. And he introduced me to Nordy, who had an idea for a show called They Came to Rock. And it's about aliens who heard rock and roll music on some sort of satellite beam, and they wanted to come to Earth to learn about it and to learn how to play it. Such and so when I was talking to him about it and he's explaining it to me, I said, and they left the Beatles here, they left Mick Jagger, David Bowie, James Brown, you know, Little Richard, because when you think about it, man, all of those acts I just mentioned and many more were alien when they came out. I mean, no one was like Little Richard. It was the 50s. It was an African-American gentleman wearing lipstick from Georgia, and he frightened everybody, you know, but he was just so wonderful and so original, you know. And so we went back and forth with all these ideas about the show, and he said, can you write a song about what the heck was her name now? I'll have to think about this for a minute. That's it. Why did I forget this? Betty and Barney Hill. Right. So Betty Hill was from New Hampshire and claimed that they both claimed that they were taken up in an alien craft. And Betty claimed she had a tawdry affair with a couple of Martians, you know.
Wow.
And so he's like, can you write a song about this? And I said, well, I don't know if I can write a serious song about this. So I said, how about this? And you know, I came up with Space Cadet, you know, which is what happened was the people in the town thought she was crazy, and you know, no one believed them, and they would say all kinds of stuff to them, and they made their life miserable, which is not fun. But so anyway, that's basically where Space Cadet came from, you know. And because it happened in the early 60s, the song is kind of in that 60s bag, you know. It's like Paul Revere and the Raiders, Kings, Dave Clark 5. And so I wrote it for the show along with 10 other songs that he liked, you know. But I liked it so much, I said, you know, I'd like to record it with the Amplifier Heads and put it out. And Nordy's like, yeah, man, do it. And we did, and it kind of took off, it did really well with radio and especially with Underground Garage on satellite radio. And so we're really happy about that, and Lou over at Rum Bar Records was really doing his promo work, and we got the tune out there, which led to us doing the whole record, the whole Rectifier album.
That's pretty awesome. Now, you just mentioned a moment ago, Sirius XM, you appeared on the Mighty Manfred show on Little Steven's Underground Garage. What was that like?
It was great. It was a lot of fun. It was, I received an email one day, hey, we love your, Steven loves your song, and we want you to do an interview with Manfred. And I'm like, sure, man, this is great. So, yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Manfred's great. He's got a great band, and he's just a good guy. He and the producers over there, they knew their stuff, and it was a gas, I got to say. We have a lot of support from a lot of the DJs up there. Bill Kelly and Palmyra, Rodney, the whole gang. So yeah, it was a cool thing. For sure.
That's awesome. Now, what are your plans for the coming year? You got any shows lined up?
We do. I mean, the Amplifier Heads are doing a show November 26th out here in Massachusetts, which is sort of a celebration of the record coming out, even though it's physically out. We're using that as our date. So that's going to be cool. I just did a solo show the other night. I really enjoy those as well, just me and an acoustic guitar, doing songs and stories. But that's the next, and I think the last for the Amplifier Heads for this year, November 26th. If you were closer, James, I'd tell you to come, man.
I would love to. I haven't been up in Massachusetts in about 4 years. I was up there a couple of years back seeing a buddy of mine.
Yeah. And you know who lives here now, right?
Who?
Rob Moss.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. He's very cool. I really enjoyed the conversation with him, and he has a great album as well.
Absolutely. I met him through we met in modern times. We met, on the internet, in the music community. Mm-hmm. But he's recently moved here, and I've dubbed it Massachusetts for him.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. He's a great guy.
He was friendly enough to hook you and I up together, so that's really great. For that.
He's actually hooked me up with a couple of people. I have a few people lined up through his connections, and I'm totally grateful to him for that. He's a great guy.
Great. Oh yeah. He's a good one.
Now,
and if I can be of any help like that, James, you just let me know. I'd be happy to. Send people your way, or send you a link and you can check them out and see if it's something you want to pursue.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Now, is there any other projects that you're working on that you could talk about?
Let's see. I'm working on a record for 2023 that's pretty special and important to me. It's going to be the thing that connects all the songs is that they're based in memory. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be based around that going home again, and a lot of things about. There's a song called "Record Store." The summer we wore clogs. Wow. That whole thing. It's really really interesting. The Boy in the Viewfinder is one of the songs, and so I'm really looking forward to that. It's a little bit more of a pop record. By that I mean, I'm using strings and different instruments, and it's a little less of a noise rock record. Like Rectifier is kind of a noisy rock record, and so is Saturnalians, the one before that. But this one will be a little different than that. So I'm really working on that, looking forward to that. I put a record out with two friends of mine, John Butcher and Alan Esty. And we did a record over last winter, and we put it out. I think it came out late summer this year, and so we're doing some shows together and putting some muscle behind that record. It's a different record. for each of us, because John's thing is different than mine, and Alan is different than both of us. But when we all got together, it created another thing. The three of us created like this fourth thing. So, and I can't even explain what it is. It's kind of American music, kind of bluesy. There's a lot of acoustic stuff on there, and that's Butcher, Baglio, and Estes. In case anybody wants to look it up, they just Google Butcher, Baglio, and Estes, and you can find out what that's about. But I mean, that's about it for now. Just working on the next Amplifier Heads thing and doing more solo shows. Things have changed a little bit for original rock bands. Mm-hmm. It's kind of gone back to the first part of our conversation when they were cover bands, and then all of a sudden things opened up for original bands. It's sort of gone back to cover bands and tribute acts getting all the work now, and people don't seem to be as open to music they've never heard before.
Right.
It's kind of an interesting time, so we're just going to kind of navigate our way through that and keep on going, which is another reason why, doing this with you, for the record machine is so important, James, because it gets new music that people may never have heard of. It gets their information to them. Exactly. And so I thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome. I appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your stories. Now, do you have a website that you'd like to promote?
Sure. The amplifierheads.com. Mm-hmm. That's our new website. So we're still, putting new things up on it, but it's up and running. Mm-hmm. And also, if people want to hear all the music, they can go to theamplifierheads.bandcamp.com. And there's just a ton of, I lost count of how many releases there are on there. And, you can taste a little bit of it and see if it's for you, if it's the right food for your ears,
Now, is there anything you'd like to mention that we didn't talk about today?
I think we covered everything, James. I mean, I'm sure after I hang up, I'll say, "Damn, I should have told him this." But no. I mean, that's it. We're hopeful that people will be open to listening to new music, and get back out there and support original bands.
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, Sal, I listened to that whole CD this morning, and I think it's fabulous. I think you did a great job on it, and I'm looking forward to hearing the next one when it comes out.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I hope you like it all, man. There's some different stuff on that record. It's Rectifier is pretty much a noisy rock record, but if you get deep inside, there's a couple of other things happening. So that's great that you're digging that record.
Yeah, man, it rocks. Well, Sal, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed the stories and the music to go along with it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, James.
Anytime, man. Let's stay in touch. You have my number. I have yours. And anytime you got something you want to promote, man, shoot me a text message or an email, and let's stay in touch, all right?
I will definitely do that, and let me know when the links are up, and I'll make sure that we get them on all our social media stuff. And great. You got my number there, right?
Yes, sir.
Did it come through? Okay, great. Stay in touch, James, and thank you so much, man. I mean it. This has been great.
Will do, and you're welcome, buddy.
All right.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.